Hi guys, welcome to today's video. So it is time to do another book haul. I don't do these very often because I don't buy books. Really, I don't buy a lot of them at once. So I tend to keep track of all the ones I've bought over a period of time and then do a book haul for you guys. So it's time to do another one. It has been my birthday and Christmas, so we have quite a few books to go through, and I've also been like getting books over the past like maybe 4 or 5 months. I don't know the last time I did a book haul, but we have quite a few to go through. My book hauls aren't really egregious. Like I don't have like 50 books to go through like I see some other booktubers doing, which is totally fine. I'm very particular about books when I buy them. I want to know that I'll really like them in most cases. Sometimes I just pick up a book because I want to buy it, but I feel like I'm very particular about the books I buy and spend my money on because I do not like unhauling books. I have a huge stack of books behind these ones that are unhauled books, and I still need to like sell them and get rid of them, and I haven't gotten to it because I don't enjoy doing it. Like I don't want to talk to random people on Facebook Marketplace, but I need to get rid of them at some point. So anyways, all of the books I'm hauling in this video are right behind here, and I left them there for the intro because I thought it'd look prettier if they were sitting there instead of like the whole tray just being empty, because I did set this up yesterday, so I wanted to display it, you know. We should get these books. I hope you enjoy this book haul. Let me know any books you hauled recently in Christmas, or just if you went book shopping. Let me know. Also, if you've read any of these books, please let me know. I love hearing all your thoughts. And yeah, let's just get into the book haul. Okay, we have 19 books to go through. I will try to not ramble too much like I tend to do, but I'm very excited to talk about all these books. So yeah, we should just start. Let's just go with the first book I see, Only and Forever by Chloe Leese. This is the 7th book in the Bergman Brothers series, the last final book. I've mentioned this series quite a few times on this channel, and I'm planning to finish this series in 2025. So I've read 4 out of 7 books, all out of order, but I've really enjoyed it. Chloe Leese is one of my favorite authors. All of her books feature characters that suffer from either chronic illness or mental health issues, usually something along those lines, and she has fantastic representation. And so far I've really liked all of the siblings in the family, all of the significant others, so I'm very excited to get to this one. We're following, I don't think he's the youngest sibling. His love story has always very unknown, like you don't know what's going to happen with him. So I'm very interested, and I think he works at a bookstore. He loves cats. He also is really big into romance books, so I'm very excited for this book. It's very different from other romances. Usually the men in romance books are like big and tough and don't read romance books, so I'm intrigued. We then have Play Along by Liz Tomford. I basically begged my sister to get me this book for my birthday. She was like, what books do you want? I sent her a few, but I was like, this one is on the top of my list, and I'm very happy I have it. I would have read this sooner if I had it, but like I literally could have gone out and bought it. I just didn't. But I really wanted to read this book so badly. I know I'm gonna love it. I've heard amazing things even before I heard people talking about it. I knew I was gonna love it. So I'm very excited. This is the 4th book in the Windy City series. I've read the other books except for the first one. But yeah, this is a fake marriage. They get married in Vegas when they're drunk. Boy falls first. Isaiah is obsessed with Kennedy. He's a bit of a player, but like for Kennedy, he only has eyes for her, basically. Now that I think her engagement broke off, he's like, I now finally have a chance. And Kennedy also seems like a very strong character, but also very sweet and lovable, so I'm very excited to read this book. Yeah, I'll get to this in January, 100%. We then have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This book has been a long time coming, well, just any book by this author. I've been wanting to read a book by her for so long. I've had them on my wish list for such a long time. They're at the bottom, I think, of the wish list because I added them first. And I've just been really wanting to read a book by her. I don't know why I haven't gotten to her yet. I just hadn't bought one of her books. She has like a 3-book series, I think, romance series. You don't have to read them in order. But from what I've seen, everyone that's been getting into her books has been reading them in order. And for some reason last year, so many booktubers I watched were just reading all of her books and loving them. And that made me really want to read a book by her. She's just a very highly loved author, and I really want to give her books a go. I don't know what this one's about. It is the first in like the 3-book series. And I think they're very fun, easy romances, but I think they might also be a bit emotional from how highly people speak of them. So I'm very excited. We then have Travis by Mia Sheridan. This book follows Archer's voice. I did read this book recently. It's in my reading slump video. It did help me get out of a reading slump. I did really enjoy it. I've been wanting to read more books by Mia Sheridan since I read Archer's Voice about a year ago, and it's one of my favorite books, and this book did not disappoint, so I need to pick up more books by her, and her covers are always so gorgeous, especially this one. I love it. I'm not really a big fan of blue, but I love this cover. We then have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. I think have I talked about this book a lot? I don't know, but I've really wanted to read this book. It is a hefty one. It is massive, which is what has put me off it. After reading the first book, Love Redesigned, I was so excited for this couple. I've heard good things, but not like amazing things like I kind of expected to hear. So it's put me off a little, and also the length of it, like I've said a million times. I don't like long romance books, they always just drag on. And I didn't love the first book, Love Redesigned, but I have loved a lot of books by Lauren Asher, so I do have high hopes for this book. It is a single dad nanny trope. It is very emotional from what I've heard. I love that trope so much, and The Final Offer has a single like mum trope, which she did that so well. I loved the child in that book, so I think she'll do well with this book. I'm a bit put off it just from the length of it, but like hopefully it's a book I can fly through. We then have another book by Lauren Asher. We have Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is a part of her Dirty Air series. All of the books follow F1 drivers, famous F1 drivers, who are very likely millionaires or billionaires, which is always fun to read. I haven't heard amazing things about this series. I think it's her first series written, but I do think they're, from what I've heard, very enjoyable books and just fun, easy reads. I've really wanted to tick off this series by her since I have enjoyed other books by her, and I do really want to read a F1 romance since I haven't yet. I'm not really into F1 at all, but the book girlies really praise the F1 romance books, so I am excited. And Redeemed, which I think is the third book, is very highly loved by a lot of people, so I am excited to also get to that book. Oh, okay. We have another book that's been like a long time coming for me. I've wanted to read this book for such a long time. It's another one of those books that were like at the bottom of my wish list, and I finally managed to get it. It's by Sara Adams. I haven't read a book by her. I do have the cheat sheet by her, which is kind of an older BookTok romance book. By older, I mean like from a year or two ago, but this book came out maybe start of this year, last year. It is a bodyguard romance, which I have not read yet, but I've really wanted to read one. I don't know why I wanted to read this book so badly, but something about it just screamed at me to pick it up and to read it. And like I said, I've wanted it for so long. It is the second book in a romance series, but the first one, When in Rome, just doesn't intrigue me. I'll likely pick it up if I like this book, but it just doesn't scream at me like this one does. This one screams at me to read. Obviously the bodyguard trope, but then like the flowers, I think she works at a flower shop, the tattoos, like something about it just screams at me to read it, and I've heard really good things about this book as well. I really want to pick it up. We have a book I have already read and did not like. I read Fangirl Down, the first book in the series, loved it, 5 stars. This book I was highly anticipating. It's one of my favorite tropes, single dad, nanny trope, and hate is a bit of a strong word, but I really strongly disliked it. I have a whole reading vlog where I went off about this book, so I won't go on a tangent, but I really didn't like this book at all. And this first book by Tessa Bailey that I like strongly didn't like. So far she's done pretty well by me. Did not like this book whatsoever, but I'm gonna keep it just because I like the first book. And the third book I might like, you know. This is the only book by Tessa Bailey that I've really not liked, so I won't stay away from her for now, but I am very apprehensive about the third book. Okay, now we're moving into more fantasy. That was all romance, I think. We have A Sea of Wolves by Sarah Street. So this is one of those books that I have no idea what it's about, but I picked it up because I was intrigued. I think it's a Red Riding Hood retelling, maybe. No clue whatsoever. There's just a lot of words on here that I'm not really soaking in, so. But I am really intrigued. I don't know why, something about it just really intrigues me, and I love picking up books that I haven't heard anyone talk about. So yeah, and I have like no expectations going into this book, which I also really like. Ooh, okay. We then have A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the third book in the series. I don't currently have the middle book, the second one, but I have started the first one and have been really enjoying it, and I do really want to read this series, like I've said so many times. So yeah, I got the third book because that's the only one they had at Big W, but I will obviously get the second one to read when I get up to it. But these covers are so beautiful. For some reason, when these covers first came out, I didn't like them. the first original ones with like the heart and like the rose gold and stuff, I liked those so much. And then these came out and I didn't really like them. But now I like these covers like so much, and I don't like the other ones as much. I don't know what happened there. Like, I remember being disappointed when these came out because these are the ones that are available in Australia. But like, I love them so much because they're gorgeous now. But before I didn't, I don't know. We then have One Dark Window by Rachel Gilliard. Sorry if I said that wrong. This is a very popular fantasy romance. One that I've been very unsure about. I've heard so many mixed things. I think when it was first popular, a lot of people had very high expectations and then went into it with those expectations and then didn't enjoy as much. And so my expectations are very wonky. Like, I'm not expecting amazing things. I'm just very intrigued to see how I'll feel about this book. So yeah, I think the female main character has like a monster living in her mind that like controls or tells her to do things. Something like that. And then I think there's also like some card aspect in this game, or maybe I've made that up. Or that's from a different book. I don't completely remember. I think it's also a duology. I'm intrigued to see what I think of this book. There's so many popular fantasy romances I've read recently that I haven't liked, but there's been a few here and there that I've really liked. This is one. Usually I can kind of tell, like I have an intuition on whether I'm going to like it or not. This one, I'm not sure. We'll see. We then have a classic, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I feel like almost everyone's read this book. It is a cozy fantasy. For some reason, I didn't want to get this book for so long. I just wasn't interested in it. And then I just bit the bullet and I was like, now I want it. I don't know. I'm just intrigued. But I don't know when I'd pick this up. I feel like I'm missing out on not having read it. I do love a cozy fantasy vibe, the coffee, the atmosphere. Like, it is very enjoyable, but I feel like it also gets kind of boring sometimes. But this is a shorter book, so I don't know. Oh, okay. We have a book that I didn't actually buy. This book was for free at my library. It is a series of unfortunate events, and it is I think it's the 5th book. Yes, it is. So I don't have any of the other books, but I've wanted to read this series for so long. I watched the show and I loved it. I loved that show so much. I also love the actor Melina. I think her name is Melina Wesman. I love her so much. I don't really know a lot about her. I feel like her internet presence isn't very like, there's not a lot about her, but for some reason I just love her. I mean, she's like gorgeous, obviously, but I just love her vibe. And I really like her. And I've only seen her in like one other thing that was like a cat movie where she was like a child. But anyways, I really loved this series, the show, and I really want to read the books. I don't think I was going to pick up like the movie show covers. I was going to pick up the originals, but they had this for free, so I was like, why not pick it up? I felt like I hit gold. Oh, there's also like drawings on the chapters. That's so cute. At some point, I will get the first one and start this series. I also think it's like middle grade, so it shouldn't take me too long to read. I definitely should also rewatch the show because some things I didn't really understand, and now I think I'm a little more intellectual. I'm a little smarter, so I might understand it better. But this is a very random one, but one I was very happy to see. Ooh, okay. We have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. She's been a very popular author recently. So many people are reading her books. I think this book actually came out quite a while ago, but it's a very highly loved book. I think the first time I ever heard of it, well, not heard of it, but like was hearing more about it was in Sara Carroli's reading vlog. I think she was reading her like subscribers 5-star reads, and this was the most suggested, like the one that was mentioned the most. And I was like, really? Like, I've hardly ever heard about that book. I've never seen anyone read it, but it's like a very famous and well-loved book. One that I know nothing about, but I think it's very emotional, and she has other books that people also love. So I want to be a part of this community that loves her books. I want to know what they're about. I think they're like literary fiction. Maybe they're more historic. Yeah, they're historical. Not the type of books I usually read. I have read some here and there, but I'm very intrigued and scared. Very scared because I don't know what I'm getting into whatsoever. And the writing is tiny. These books are so up in the air for me. Some literary fiction books that are really popular I hate. Others I really liked, so I never know what I'm getting myself into. We then have a book I literally got yesterday in the mail, The Library of Shadows. I'm planning to read this hopefully before the year is over. It was on my 2024 TBR. By the looks of it, I don't think I'm going to be able to read it before the year is over, but I think I'm going to read it very soon. I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time. I don't really remember what it's about. I think it's A Little Dark Academia. The main character, as you can see, is a ghost, and that is what has really intrigued me and made me want to read this book, because that's just exciting. Like, I'm so intrigued by that premise. Like, how is that going to play out? How is a romance going to work like that? I don't know. I do think there's like obviously a bit of fantasy since he's a ghost. Maybe it's paranormal. I think the film main character starts at this university or college to learn more about her father who passed away. So it's a bit of a mystery. There's students disappearing. Very intrigued for this book. And also there's a little book on the back and the guy is a statue. Now I want to read that one. So I really want to give this author a go because she's not very popular. This book was like popular when it came out, but I haven't really heard anyone mention this author's writing or anything. I don't remember what people were saying about this book, so I'm intrigued, to say the least. I do love reading, like I said, books by authors that aren't very popular because you can find a lot of hidden gems. I then have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I don't actually think this is fantasy. It might have some fantasy elements, but it's more on the romance side. I read another book by this author, Mountains Made of Glass, and I enjoyed it, but I had higher expectations. But I did have a really fun time, so I want to read more books by her. This is the first in a series. I think they are also Greek mythological retellings, which, like I said in another one of my videos recently, I do love reading Greek mythological retellings. I think it's just fun to read, especially in like a romance. This is a book I'm just intrigued by and I want to pick it up. I don't know how many times I've said the word intrigued in this video, but way too many. This is a book I don't have like high expectations for, but I'm trying to think of another word for intrigued. I am excited to pick it up, I guess. Okay, we then have Butcher and Blackbird, which this book was a surprise for me. My sister, like I said, I sent her some books to get me, and she got me one book for my birthday, one for Christmas. And I thought she was going to get me Lost and Lassoed. I thought she was going to get me that for Christmas, but she actually got me this book, and I was very surprised, but very excited because I really wanted to pick this book up. It is a romance that involves serial killers, but from what I've heard, people love this book. I think it's not as bad as it seems. Like, they're serial killers for a good reason, if you can be a serial killer for a good reason. Like, I think they're taking out revenge on people who do bad things, from what I've gathered. There is a long list of trigger warnings, and it involves like accidental cannibalism and stuff, but I think it's not as bad as it seems, and it's like a fun, silly, lovable romance. People really love the romance in this book. Like, it's very sweet. And there's also a second book which I've seen very mixed reviews for, so I'm intrigued. Oh no, I said it again. I'm excited to read this book, and I really want to see how I feel about this book. We then have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. So this is the second book in her Divine Rivals series. It is a duology, so this is the second and final book. I read Divine Rivals about a year ago, and I liked it, but I was a bit disappointed. I wasn't a fan of the end of it. I don't know, I had a few things I didn't like the start was very promising, and then the end wasn't great, so I was very uncertain on whether I would read the second book. It literally took me a year to buy the second book, but I do want to finish the series. So many people have mixed reviews about the second book. Like, they say they wish they didn't read it, or they're like glad they read it because they didn't enjoy the first book, or they loved the first book and they didn't like the second one. I don't know. I'm very hesitant about this book. I don't know when I'm going to pick it up, but I know I should soon, because my memory on the first book obviously isn't the greatest since it's been a year, but I do think I should pick this book up at some point and see how I feel. Okay, we're up to the last book, which is good because I'm very hungry. So we have Eclipse of the Crown by A.K. Kajino. So if you watch a lot of my videos, you would know I read this series this year and loved it. It is my favorite series of the year. The fourth book in the series, Bountiful, is my favorite book of the year. I have loved this series so much, and I always recommend it. But I read it on Kindle, so I didn't have the physical copies. And I was talking about that in one of my reading vlogs. And then my lovely friend Chloe bought me this book. So this is the third one. I only own this one so far. I do want to get the other ones. I will buy them at some point, but like I said, I just really wanted the physical book since I love the series so much, and they are also gorgeous books. And I'd love to support the author as well because she is more of an indie author. The series is popular, but like I don't hear a lot of like mainstream booktubers talk about it, and I definitely think it deserves more hype. So I literally squealed when I received this book. So thank you so much, Chloe, if you're watching. She has always supported my YouTube, and she's in the comments all the time, so I really appreciate her. This is one of my favorite books I've received just because I love the series so much, and I was so happy to get this as a surprise. Like, I was extremely happy. So yeah, that's the last book of this haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, let me know if you've read any of these books. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a good holidays and Christmas. I think this will come out just before New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a wonderful year. I think I'm going to be repeating this in a lot of my videos, but in case you didn't see the other ones, like I said, I hope you've been having an amazing holidays. And yeah, I'll see you hopefully soon in another video. Bye!